I'm back. After watching some of my previous videos for Creative You, aka Shine Baby Shine, I've realized the first time I missed telling you my name, and I haven't told you the date at all. No, really? Is it that important? We're in winter, we're in January. We've had a really dreary, rainy day here, and great day for knitting, great day for fiber arts, for quilting. So anyway, I'm back to show you some new things. My last episode, I did an unboxing of Mrs. Meyer's cleaning products, which again, I have no affiliation. I got some essential oil, grapefruit, and it's been wonderful. Put a little dab on my wrist and I feel like I'm in Florida, wafting in fresh citrus fruits. I can't wait to use it around the house. But the amazing thing is, I took all the cleaning products home. I didn't open anything. And our house smells so fresh and clean. The only thing I can think is maybe that the fabric softener sheets are kind of wafting through the cardboard box. I don't know. I can't explain it. But I can't wait for my house to smell like that all the time. So I'm wearing the June Bunnies shawl made out of Patora yarn, and I put it on because I just had a customer. She knits 2 projects a year, usually a sweater, and she's very choosy about what she gets. And she said to me, never done a shawl, I don't want to wear a shawl. And I said to her, do you know like all the different things that you can do with a shawl? You can wear it bandana style, but you can also just snug it up like a big cow. Tell you what, after my last couple episodes, I had no idea like I had double chins like that. My husband is 13 years older than me, and so he aged before me. His name is Paul, and we laugh a lot because almost every movie we watch, there's a Paul. And I say, oh, Paul, I've always picked on my husband, always. He loves it. If I didn't pick on my husband, he would think I was sick. And one time we took this art class in Traverse, Michigan, and we took some art classes in York, Pennsylvania. And one of the ladies said to me, you're mean to your husband. I'm not mean to my husband. I adore my husband. But I think they miss my picking, you know. So anyway, I used to say to him, oh, look at that loose skin. And he'd say, you just wait, you just wait. And look at these spots on your skin. And he'd say, you just wait, you just wait. And I mean, it's happened. And I was so self-conscious after the last podcast, I realized my camera is staring up. I need my camera higher. I actually went to bed and dreamed that I had this big bubble coming out of my neck. So anyway, my dog is looking at the door. Come here, Ellie. Come here. Let everybody see you. Come here, baby. Come on. Come up here. Come here. Let everybody see you. Come here. Oh, come here. This is the Yarn Shop mascot. This is my adorable little Ellie girl. She greets everybody that comes in the door. And she is a speckled Cocker Spaniel, 10 years old, and she usually sleeps on the couch. Say hi to everybody. Yeah, say hi. Say hello. Down you go. She's getting older. She's still playful. She sleeps a lot. I actually looked it up because I wondered, does she sleep too much? And what I learned is that dogs sleep 50% of the time, and the other 50%, 30% of that time, they just lay around. And then 20% of the time, they're active. So anyway, back to our shawl. Some people wear it like this. Almost like a vest, bring it down, and a belt. I see that a lot in magazines. People come in and they have them like this with a scarf ring. And then some people tie them like this. But I told her, I said, once you get used to this nice, soft, luxurious feel around your neck, when you take it off at night, you feel naked and you feel cold. So if you're not wearing shawls, give it a try. You'll love it. My earrings were given to me. I used to watch a podcast by a woman that was involved in literature and plays, and she would knit these things that tied into Shakespeare plays and books, and I loved it. And she shouldn't hang in there. But anyway, I used to love it, love it. So these earrings came from a patient of mine, and they're actually gourds, and they have the designer's name. And the reason why I went on that tangent about the lady is that she was very strict about the English language, and she hated it that people were saying she gifted this to me. She's like, we already have a word in the English language, it's give. Why do we need another word? Anyway, that's a tangent for another day. I thought today that we would do some Noro. If any of you don't know, Noro is the name of a man. And one of the yarn reps said to me one day, what do you think Mr. Noro looks like? I pictured this small, petite, and he said, nope, broad-shouldered, 70 years old, black hair slicked back, black glasses, and black clothes. Surprised me because his yarns can have 30-some colors. Back in 1981, after many rejections, he got a contract with Knitting Fever, and it was a happy day for both of them. And sometimes they would even say, you know, here's one of the yarns, why don't we cut down on all these color baths? We'd save money. No, no, no compromise. So I'm going to take you on a trip with some Noro yarns. This one is called Curry on Air, so it's a super bulky, luscious colors, and there's a pattern that I think I would like to do. I haven't followed the traditional podcast. These are my FOs, these are my whips, and I'll tell you what, I hate the term FOs, finished objects. I don't know of any other craft where people call their beautiful creations finished objects. It's so impersonal. I can't imagine going to a quilter and they say, oh, I have an object to show you. I was trying to think of other names, and in the spring, I'm going to do this whole thing with baseball terms. My husband and I had a blast doing it. But for now, I'm going to call them kisses. Knitted items with an S, kisses. But I think I would like to do this. And I have been hesitant to show you things I'm working on because I don't like that I'd be pressured to get something finished to show you, because I get distracted. And if I know I need to get something done, I want to work on anything but that. Are any of you like that? Is it just me? Ah. So let's get started. A lot of these patterns come from the Noro hardcover books, which I think are a steal. This is one of them. You get 30 patterns in a hardcover book for $25. They've never changed the price. You get beautiful colored pictures and so forth. So let's start out by showing you the loop mesh scarf by Amanda Blair Brown. Look at this unique pattern. The lady that knitted this for me, her husband said, I couldn't talk to her while she was knitting this. Another lady said, you just get into repeating the pattern. So you have this big, luscious scarf. It does tend to kind of curl around in a loop. I guess maybe you could block that out, but look at these rich colors. This is 3 skeins of Noro Silk Garden sock weight yarn, and this is in the Noro lace book. Beautiful. Next is a scarf called Easily. Oh, look at those colors. Look at those colors. Ooh. This is also done with Silk Garden sock yarn on a US 6 needle. And this is actually designed by a man in a small town near Budapest. He goes by Janos, Janos, but his name is Jonas Knit, so he reversed the vowels. He said at age 44, his wife taught him to knit, and wow, what's not to love? Look at those colors. And this is a pay-for pattern. It's a $5 pattern on Ravelry. Wow. If that doesn't invigorate your senses, put a little of this grapefruit on it. I can see why people who use essential oils get such a pickup. This one is called the Bias Knit Scarf. It's 2 skeins of Silk Garden Light, which is a DK weight. It's a mohair silk and wool yarn. And what you do is take 2 different skeins and knit a couple rows of one, couple rows of the other, and get these beautiful, beautiful effects. And a lot of people say they're afraid this yarn will be too rough. It's soft, and the more you use it, the more you finger it, the more you knit with it, the softer it gets. And I mean, the colors are bodacious, so don't shy away from it. And that is out of the silk, it's out of one of the Noro books. I think maybe the 1, 2, 3, there's several of them. There's the Noro Silk Garden 20th anniversary book, and this one has the eyelet infinity scarf, and we also made that. But the colors in this book alone are eye candy. And that is this one. It's a big infinity scarf. You could make it bigger or smaller. And look at those colors. And this is Silk Garden color number 341, 3 skeins. Don't you just love it? How these yarns look like they exactly stop at where you need them to stop. Like, how does that happen? It's like magic. And it makes you want to keep knitting and knitting and knitting. And when it's over, you're like, oh, I don't want it to be over. Then you have to start another one. That is that one. And that is by Sarah Radow, R-A-D-O-W. And she has 2 other patterns in Knit Simple, but they're both cleaning, like a loopy cover for your Swifter and a dust mitt. And that's all I've seen from her. This one is called the 2 skein lace scarf. You do 2 separate and put them together. You know, some people stray away from that, but they don't realize if you keep knitting the same pattern and come down, the other side is going to be upside down. So it's necessary. It's a gorgeous color with peaches and browns and greens. And we could have made it longer. This comes out of one of the Noro books called Knit Noro 1, 2, 3 skeins. And there's the picture. So on a note, like, what are you doing? What's going on? My parents aren't doing that well, and you know, I've heard people come into the shop and talk about their aging parents, and it seems like every time you see these people, it's just a constant conversation. But wouldn't it be the same way if you had a sick child? And so this is a new area of my life, and it's difficult. It's heart-wrenching. And it's all consuming. So I really need knitting right now. I'd like to knit my mother something, but she's never really been the type to appreciate yarn and fiber, and she'll see what I'm doing and say, oh, I think that'd be itchy. I don't like those colors. And I've just stayed away from doing things, but every time I go out, she's wrapped in a big blanket, and she got put on this medicine in July, and kept gaining weight and getting these big legs, and nobody wanted to take her off this medicine, and she ended up in the hospital and went on and on and on. So now that she's off it, she lost 25 pounds in 1 week, which has made her weak. So what's going on with you, and what are your challenges this year? And how do you cope? Do you knit? Do you listen to music? Do you pray? Do you call a friend? Do you talk to your husband? How do you cope with the things that hurt your soul, make you sad? I know my dog always knows when I'm sad, and she gives me these worried looks. I was listening to one of the big dog trainers on television one time, and he said, you never cry, you never break down in front of your dog, because you are the alpha dog. I don't buy it. I'm a person. God, we're the only creature that has the gift of tears. This is Attila Scarf by Krista Basta. I love her patterns. There's so many of her patterns I'd like to knit. Just love them. And I've done several of them, but there's so many more I want to do. And she has some neat slippers and footsie patterns and things. This was done with half a skein of Noro Kaboo, which is a cotton blend yarn. It's a quick knit, and it's fast, and you want to make another one. It's a free pattern. And while I am on Krista Basta, she also has a pattern called the Bridger Cow. Excuse me a minute while I look. And I showed you a slouch hat I did out of Debbie Bliss Paloma. It's like a tweed type yarn. And this is the Bridger Cow. This is a nice soft yarn. I love her patterns because they do step up designs. So you might start it with so many stitches, and then you add some, and you keep adding 3 or 5 or 7 or whatever, and they're fun. It's just really so her to do her designs that way. And I have another one. Excuse my phone, it is ringing. I just kind of set that tone so I would know when I'm getting a message. And that's a Bridger Cow, again, that I did in Taki Aria, which is like a knitted tape yarn that's fun. And it's an Aran weight yarn, I think. And it is 78% extra fine merino wool and 22% nylon. So lots of stretch. And so that's the Bridger Cow. I'll be like this woman that does all these wardrobe changes during your podcast. When I was doing my podcast the other day, and I turned and you could see the back of my hair, I thought, oh no, I'm going to be found out. I cut my own hair. Anybody out there ever do that? Come on, admit it. And I have a customer who's a beautician, and she happened to come in. I was hoping I'd get a pass. And while she's checking out, she said, turn around, turn around. Did you cut your own hair? I'm like, yeah. What'd you use? Sewing scissors? I figured. That's what she said. you better promise me that you won't cut your hair again. Okay, I'll be good. She said, I'm going to be back in 6 weeks. You let that grow out. I said, okay. So it's funny. It can look good when you cut it, and then every time you wash it, you can see these uneven areas. And the more you trim, the worse it gets. And so I was good. And when she came back, she said, oh, no, you're not ready. You're not ready. Let it go another month. Well, she never came back. Sue Weaver, where are you? And so I did it again. You know, I work a lot. I'm here a lot. Whatever. Excuses. But I have a feeling that when I go, I'm going to get a tongue lashing. And I don't really want a tongue lashing. So, what have you done that you don't want people to know? You know, my husband and I watched a movie, and I can't remember if it was Christmas Kisses or Christmas Wishes. And it started out with a couple that was so in love at Christmas and were under the mistletoe and fell in love and got married and got a dog, and 5 years later, she is fed up, and she tricks him into signing the divorce papers. He thinks he's signing a vet contract for the dog. She's fed up because he's slovenly, doesn't put anything away, doesn't even put the pizza boxes away. He's a cartoonist, but he's always, excuse me, I said thread and I have to pick it off, always playing video games. But on her end of the thing, she's a perfectionist. She runs a company. She got an assistant. She won't let him do anything. And her husband can't even put up a tree because he wouldn't do it right. And so he builds a Christmas tree out of soda cans, which is really silly looking. Anyway, she tricks him into signing the divorce papers. And she goes out across the street and she gets hit by a car. And she has memory loss. She can't remember him. She can't really remember much. She remembers her name, but nothing about herself. So the doctor says, no stress. So her parents know she was about ready to get a divorce. So they all agree to lie to her. And he brings her home to this sloppy house with all this stuff around and tries to make her think that she's like that too, that she's fine living that way. Well, not knowing who she is, she plays video games. She's great at them. They have fun. They go out with friends, which they haven't seen her in 6 months because she's always busy. And you know how you watch a movie and it kind of gets you thinking? And gradually she saw that everything in her room was neat and tidy. Everything about him was slovenly. She found out she liked to cook. She had ideas to start a company. And anyway, she started to rediscover herself. And he learned he had to change. So it got me to thinking, you know how you watch a movie and then you get to thinking about it? And I thought, okay, if that happened to you, what would you want your family not to tell you about yourself? That's sort of like a hard question. What would you want to know about yourself? What would you not want to know? Because people started telling her they like the new, that we like the new you better, and she let her assistant do things, and so she was forced to change too because she didn't like the image that people had of her. And it's never too late to change. I hear it at the yarn shop every day. I can't learn to knit continental because I've been doing this for so. Oh, come on. Anybody can learn new things. Look at this color. Pop! Look at this color. This is Noro Crayon. All of the Noro yarns mean something. This yarn Crayon means crayon. So all these beautiful crayon colors. And look at this. You pick 2 colors. And this is called the Slip Stitch Cow by Valerie Zumwalt. And she also calls herself Mama Luma. And this is in the Knit Noro accessory book. You pick 2 colors and you alternate them. And this is a big, roomy infinity scarf, which if you wanted to, you could make it smaller. And I mean, how could these colors not waken you up on a dreary winter day? I think I'd do without the tag. One time in the shop, I told my employees, I want you to wear something. And I came in and one of my employees had a scarf on with a big square tag on it. That wasn't exactly what I meant, but anyway, isn't this gorgeous? And this is in the Noro Noro accessory book. And again, these gorgeous books sell for just $25. And here is the pattern. Gorgeous. And also, I put this in to remind me, I was telling you the story about Juniper Moon Farm. Knitting Fever sells Juniper Moon yarn, and this tells you the story of Susan Gibbs and how she became a sheep farmer. And there's her picture with her dog and her sheep, and there and there. Beautiful. Juniper Moon has a lot of really nice yarns. Okay, let's go on to Ginga. Ginga. I forget what Ginga means. Remember I told you all the Noro yarns mean something? So what does, oh, Ginga means galaxy. Yeah. Look at that. This is a cotton yarn. And 40% cotton, 30% silk, 15% wool, and 15% polyamide. And some of the patterns that they have out. Good cup of black tea at the end of the day. Okay, here's one of their patterns. And I think that this yarn would feel really nice against your skin. And here's one of their pattern leaflets. And there are a fair amount of people that can't do any wool. I found this when I was getting ready. This is Juniper Moon Finley DK. But look at that girl's hair. You think she cut her own hair? I'm thinking, hey, I could look like that and I would be in style. So what did I make out of Ginga? One of the patterns has this headband, and this lumpy thing goes at your neck. The company gave me this, but you know, I don't really know how I feel about that. That's the headband, and I don't know. Anyway, that's that. And they also have a paper pattern that you do this cow. And believe it or not, at all these stitches on a straight 14-inch needle. And when I got done and started binding off, these stitches started coming and coming and coming. It's super soft. I love it. I don't know how people that I knit for that don't know about yarns and don't understand yarns, nice and soft and cozy. I did have a lady that made a jacket out of this, and I never got to see it. This is one of the other colors. And one more. This is one of the colors. I I was looking at this funny little cartoon book about knitting called It Itches. And one of the cartoons, I wish I had it here to show you, showed a woman being interviewed on television. And he said, this is so-and-so from such and such a state. And she's been knitting for 40 years. And she has like a passel of grandchildren. And she's never made a single thing for any of these grandkids. It was just funny the way it was said. But I've been kind of rethinking my life, and I feel like I've spent a lot of time knitting for samples for the shop, trying to knit things that people will like, that will sell the yarn, and hardly knitting anything at all for my family. And I'm going to change that. I'm going to change it. And you know, people come in and I hear horror stories about people in their family that aren't knit worthy. Well, I gave so-and-so a beautiful shawl and I went to her house. It was in the dog crate. You know what? If you want to knit something for somebody, involve them. Show them patterns. Take them to the website. Show them the colors. Don't stay up all night before Christmas knitting scarves and hats and give them and they say, oh, could you do this in pink and black? Oh, I like that. Could you do that in turquoise? Involve them. And then they'll be involved in the process and they'll be happy and more likely to wear it. It's just like when you involve kids in cooking the evening meal. So this is a book called Knit Literature, Knit Lit, and really good stories in it. Some of them are just unforgettable. But this is a story called Stitched with Love by Erica Orloff, and she said, some people can make you feel as if you're the only person in the world. My grandmother, Irene, was that kind of person. She had 6 grandchildren. Everybody felt like they were her favorite. And she went on to say that she made each child an Afghan, and there was nothing like hearing the click, click, clack of her knitting needles, knowing the hours of work and energy going towards your very own Afghan. My sister Stacy wanted hot pink and purple. Each grandchildren would pick her own colors. We made the important decisions together. Did I want fringe, and if so, what kind? Knotted? Did I want a lacy stitch or more solid? These were serious issues because your Afghan would last forever. As she got older, she confessed to me that she could no longer do such intricate Afghans. I remember visiting her one Sunday and her saying, I just had to rip out every darn stitch because my eyes aren't what they used to be. Her Afghans had to be perfect. And by the time my daughter was born, Grandma was truly getting up there in her years, and she had endured open heart surgery. All during my pregnancy, I prayed fervently that she would live to see her first great-grandchild. She kept reminding me, tell that great-grandchild of mine to hurry up so we can have one more baby to love in this family. I named my daughter Alexa Irene and made plans to visit New York to have her baptized in the church my grandmother attended. When I arrived, my grandmother presented me with a box. I opened it and pulled out a bright yellow miniature Afghan, just perfect for an infant. Grandma was a little critical. Over here I missed a stitch somewhere. It's a little crooked. But every stitch was stitched with love. Through tears I thanked her. Who noticed the imperfections? Ladies, why do we point out imperfections? Stop doing it. Don't do it. Guys, don't do it. The love itself was perfect. The blanket has now survived 3 children, although my grandmother has passed away. Every night I tiptoe into my youngest bedroom. After she's asleep, I wrap her carefully in the yellow Afghan. She's 3, and it's almost too small for her, but I want to feel the strength and love in that blanket. I tuck it under her chin and whisper, every stitch was stitched with love. And sometimes I can almost hear a heavenly click, click, clack of knitting needles. Oh, I think I'm going to cry. No. So I will tell you one regret that older women have. they come in and they say, I wish I had made my Afghans with good yarn. They're falling apart, they're peeling, they're really unusable. And then I hear the grandkids come in and say, we all wish that Grandma had used good yarn because we would love to enjoy these blankets and they haven't held up. So, lesson to be learned, because you get to a point where you can't do it anymore. And my Aunt Rose used to crochet all the time, and she doesn't anymore. Her fingers hurt. My great-grandmother used to make a big quilt for every couple that got married, and when it got to my generation, she stopped. She used to make a baby blanket for every baby, and then she stopped. Just couldn't do it anymore. Back to Noro. Here's the Crochet Noro book. So they have a book for crocheters too. And on this podcast, I don't want to forget crocheters. I love to crochet. I think knitting and crocheting both have their pluses and minuses. So let's talk about a little bit, maybe, one more thing here. I have talked about, one more Noro item. This is out of one of their books called Noro Favorites. And I think it's Noro Silk Garden Sock. And it's a shawl that's done horizontally. And it has a crocheted edging. But if you don't crochet, you could do a peacoat edging or whatever you wanted. But nice broomy shawl. I think I showed you some things done with Babe Soft Cotton worsted and chunky. It's a Euro yarn, nice and soft. And this is a blanket that they gave me. So the thing now is to do carriage size blankets and smaller blankets. And this is very easy. And it's in their book called Babe Soft Cotton Chunky. Cute baby. And it has a variety of patterns that are pretty easy because it's a chunky yarn. There's a sweater and a cute little hat. There's a little sleeper. Yeah, did you ever wonder where the English people got the term sweater? I mean, okay, jumper, but sweater? You sweat? Sweater? I don't get it. I got to look up the origin of that word. There's a little blanket, and there's a jacket to match, and a little hat, and other things. So, I used to have a lady that worked here for me, and she had only ever knitted and crocheted with cheaper yarns. She had a field day here. When the yarn rep came, she'd tell me, my knees are actually shaking under the table. I said, I know. So she made this cute little dress. There's a little butterfly. And it's called Butterfly Kisses Baby Dress, free pattern. Little sunshine buttons. And it's nice and soft. Could be worn with a little t-shirt under it or a little turtleneck. And that is made with the Babe Soft Cotton worsted, one solid and one variegated. And I figure since you're already seeing this, I want to show you a different color. It's cotton acrylic blend. And I had shown you some things with Cairns yarn, which is a cotton acrylic tape-like construction. And this is a little girl's circle vest that I made. And I think it was a pay pattern. And I'm not coming up with the name. And then I edged it with another yarn that I thought would be complementary. And this would be about a size 4 to 6. Wouldn't that be cute with jeans? Oh. And then I also did one called Ring Around the Rosie, and that is a free pattern. And I decided to put some bling, some fancy yarn around it. I couldn't resist. It's really cute. And that is done with Party Time Chunky, which is a James Brett yarn. And that is 100% acrylic. And then just to show you a little bit more crochet. Oh, and I wanted to show you back to the Cairns yarn. One of my customers, Lisa, did this incredible mandala blanket with Cairns yarn. And I mean, it was big. I don't know if you can tell there, but I know when I showed the yarn rep this picture, he was like so thrilled. She used 7 skeins, which is a lot of yarn. It's called Blue Mandala Throw by Shannon Mollett Bowsby. Blue Mandala Throw. And then here are her pictures. Sorry for the glare. Lisa does just wonderful crocheting, just beautifully. And I wouldn't have thought about that yarn for that. And then to talk a little bit more about crochet, this is the Dragonfly Bandana Cowl. And it's just right to put around your neck. This is a yarn called Online Trigato. And really it is, I believe, the same yarn as Lion Shawl in a Ball. This is the metallic colors. This is a beautiful color called Opal, but looks like to me like the same yarn, but beautiful colors, beautiful bright colors. And I just wanted just enough to put around my neck. It has little ties, and this is done by Maria Bittner, B-I-T-T-N-E-R. And the little ring around the rosy cowl that I showed you was Doriana Ravella, calls herself the Lavender Chair. She has 6 pages of projects, so check her out. And then also with the Cairns, this was a sample that the yarn company gave me. They called it a kimono. And I had a fair amount of people that did it. It's a paper pattern. There's the edging. I think people liked it because if they were fuller figured, they didn't have to really worry. And there's a variety of colors. This one's nice and springy, lacy edging, and it feels nice. I've worn it when I'm around the shop, and I really like it. And then one more crocheted pattern. I think this is, yep, the Carolyn Shawl, C-A-R-O-L-Y-N Shawl, free pattern, 2 skeins of Ella Ray Lace Merino, which you know I'm a big fan of lace merino. This is one of the blue color purples, 100% wool, 459 yards, and this is one of the beautiful colors. And you can do it like as a square, but you can also fold it, and I think it's beautiful. We had a lady that came in one day and said, I'll give you $25 for that. And we said, well, no, there's $50 of yarn in it and all the time to make it. And she was mad. She came back another day and said, nobody has called me about coming in for that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. It's like somebody said, we don't pay people to take yarn out. But isn't it pretty? Alrighty. What else? I just wanted to mention, and we'll see if I can mess this up again and forget where I put it. Hold on here. Just start throwing all this stuff on the floor. I had a lady that came in after the last podcast, and she had a little girl, and some things had fallen under the floor. And this dear child started to pick all of these things up for me. Bless her heart. And her mother shopped for so long that this little one, Alicia, tricked the dog in getting off the couch, and she climbed up. But last podcast, I had showed you Lily's sweater, the little hoodie that I made for Tobin, my grandson, with little T-Rex buttons. And no, I don't have a source to get these buttons. I just kind of lucked upon them. And I had told you it's a Cottage Creations pattern. And they come in a $7 book. And she's a delightful lady. When I order them, she answers the phone. This has been one of her popular books. And Susan B. Anderson actually brought Sven out as kits with her yarn. And here is another little sample that we did for the shop in a smaller size. Does anybody remember Debbie Maycomer yarns, Blossom Street? Well, we still have some here. And this was one of, it's a cute pattern. You have the option of doing the hood in garter stitch or stockinette stitch. This folds over. I like it. She also has a pattern called Wallaby that a lot of people like. Now, I did my hood with stockinette stitch. This one, garter stitch. Yeah. And then the dragonfly bandana cowl that I showed you, Katie, who comes in here. I've talked about Katie before. Katie loves to crochet, but Katie has also learned to knit this past year because she wanted to do some Fair Isle knitting, and she, as part of a crochet along, made the dragonfly cowl. We do have a Ravelry group, Creative You. There's more than one Creative You. There's a shop in California called Creative You. There's a pottery place in Pennsylvania called Creative You, and I can't get it. I can't get the connection. But anyway, we have a big sale on Super Bowl Sunday to celebrate our birthday. And a few years ago, this little older gal waited her turn in line. And when it was her turn, she said, I want that little tiny sheep marker for like $13. And I have anything like that. And she said, it's on your website. And I said, not my website. I don't have a website. Guess what, though? I'm getting one. But anyway, she was so mad. She just insisted that she is getting this stitch marker. I had a set of 5 very similar. No, that one. I am telling you, if you have never seen an 80-year-old woman throw a temper tantrum, finally, I couldn't take it. I went back, I'm back in the microwave closet and shut the door and left my granddaughter to deal with her. Did you ever see the movie No Reservations? There's a French version with captions, and there's an American version. But anyway, this chef gets so stressed that she goes into the big walk-in freezer, and she just stays there. And the owner will come, are you coming out today? Not yet. Well, that's how I was. That is Katie's version of the dragonfly cowl, bandana cowl. She made it into a shawl. She used, Katie, I hope you don't mind, I'm bragging about you. Her last name is Chris Min, and when her husband came in at Christmas to pick up her gift, the lady that was working for me said, Mr. Christmas was in. And that she did with Cascade Casablanca yarn, which is a discontinued yarn, but I love it. I bought a bunch of it up, and we still have it. And that, sorry for the glare. Sorry for the glare. I thought you could see it better. There we go. There's her dragonfly cowl. We've done a bunch of crochet alongs. This is a shawl she did with Done Roving out of Maine. Frolicking Feet sock yarn. Isn't that gorgeous? And that pattern, if you're, she didn't list it. I'll have to catch you up the next time. There's another view of it. We also did a pattern called Taiga shawl. I think Taiga. And we had fun with that. And let me see if I can find that for you because it is worth seeing. She did that with a cotton acrylic yarn called Soleil. It's the rays of the sun, Soleil. Very, very pretty. And then she couldn't stop making them. She kept making them and giving them for gifts and making more and making them out of different yarns. And she made another one out of Soleil. She made one out of Silky Wool by Elspeth Lavold that I was going to see if I could find for you, but I'm not seeing it, so maybe next time. So anyway, I guess our time together has come to an end. I had fun. I hope you had fun. Hang in there and shine, baby, shine. Signing out, Catherine.